PCPNDT Act. Now, yeah, this is a very important act as far as practical stuff is concerned. It may be also important in your examinations because it has got that practical parlance to it. One is that most important objective is to prevent female feticide. Now, you know that all over the world, women representation is as such. But if you see that gender equality is not so much seen in India, and even today, there are so many states which don't want females. They don't want girls in their families because of many reasons such as marriage, dowry, etc. etc. So they just, it leads to feticide. Feticide is killing of an unborn child. So when will the person, do something which may lead to the death of the female unborn child, when the person knows that the unborn child is going to be a girl? So there are certain techniques through which it could be known even before birth. So this act talks about that. So it's about preconception and prenatal diagnostic techniques, Act 1994. Now, these diagnostic techniques, if you see in certain maternity homes or clinics, it is written that we don't do diagnosis. We don't involve in certain diagnostic techniques because it is not legal in our country. Now, this act, I've noted down certain points which will help you in giving good answer if you write about this act. One is, it is ban on prenatal sex determination. It means that the person will come to know before birth of the unborn child whether the child is a male or a female. So this act strictly prohibits the use of such diagnostic techniques, and this measure aims to curb practice of female feticide, as we saw earlier. Now, registration and monitoring is another part of your answer. The act mandates registration of genetic counseling centers. See, there could be certain diagnostic techniques used to understand whether there is a genetic disorder to the unborn child. So there has to be a proper registration. It shouldn't happen that under the name of genetic clinics, they are running these diagnostic techniques and it leads to female feticide. So we are taking all due care to not let people involve in all these kind of practices. Second is, these facilities are monitored to ensure compliance with law and prevent misuse. That's what I just mentioned. So if the law is violated, there are certain penalties for that. Doctors and practitioners who involved may face imprisonment and fines. Of course, there will be a trial. If it is proved that the doctor is involved in all these kind of diagnostic techniques, he'll be sent to jail. Simple. And the penalties vary on the severity of the violation. So for how long the person has been doing, and how much if female feticide has occurred, what is the number, etc., etc. That's all a matter of trial. So here we are trying to say that if a doctor violates the provision of this act of diagnostic techniques, then he will be penalized as per law. Next is prevention of female feticide. That's what we are talking about by preventing sex selective abortions. Now we are talking about abortions, not just diagnosis, but abortions as well. That's what is female feticide, right? And it emphasizes importance of gender equality. And next one is detection of genetic abnormalities. As I said, there could be a need of certain diagnostic technique to understand if there is any genetic abnormality in the unborn child. So that has to be done very properly. Act prohibits the determination, but it allows use of these techniques to detect genetic abnormalities, metabolic disorders, chromosomal abnormalities, and congenital malformations. Now, these are all medical terminologies. If you can remember and write, very good. If not, then at least mention that the techniques can be used. This is an exception in the act. The techniques can be used for detecting genetic abnormalities. Now we come to a question, right to health, and whether there is a Supreme Court judgment on that. Now, who is defining health in first place? So WHO has defined health as a complete well-being of a person. It's not just breathing, it's just not living, but a good livelihood. That's what WHO says as far as health is concerned. And UDHR in its article 25 of 1 talks about right to health. So it talks about the whole holistic thing of health, that the person should have a good opportunity to lead a healthy life. Now, how we are concerned here is the Constitution of India, Part 4, Directive Principles of State Policy. When in second year you did your constitution, you might have read that Article 38, 39, 41, and 47 talk about health. Also, it talks about how government is responsible, because it is directive principle, how government is responsible for providing good health facilities to its citizens, how it is supposed to take due care. For example, say during Corona time, we didn't have certain medical facilities because such medical condition or such disease never existed at that point in time. But when we saw that there was an outbreak of COVID-19, government put up certain facilities, they did certain medical setups, which led to, say, admitting the people, trying to cure, because there was no cure at that point in time. But they had to take all the precautions, they had to do all the medical facilities for treating such patients. So this is a say responsibility of the government, which is mentioned under these 4 articles. Now, fundamental right to life, which is guaranteed under Article 21 of Constitution, and right to health is included in right to life, which is given in Article 21. That's what is fact. So you have 2 judgments here. One is State of Punjab versus MS Chawla, and they said that right to life ensured under Article 21 incorporates inside its ambit right to health and even clinical consideration. So that means your all medical facility. Other one is Supreme Court in Vincent versus Union of India, accentuated that a healthy body is very establishment of all human activities. So right to health is a very fundamental human right that is important and that should be taken care of by every person, by doctors, medical facilities, and of course the government.